Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Two Stewards Show. My name's Mark. I'm here with Brent.
Hello, everybody.
And today we're going to talk about, what are we going to talk about, Brent?
The top 10 amenities in a rental.
Okay. Oh, did we get down to 10?
I just finished an espresso muffin, courtesy of our tenants, which is awesome. But yeah.
Wow. Okay. I was just saying, I think that would be a good nickname for Gideon over there. Hey, espresso muffin. He's pretty peppy. Anyways, to the topic at hand. Top amenities.
Well,
in a
Mark,
rental.
the reason we want to talk about this is because right now the rental market seems a bit soft.
Well, a little bit.
It's a little bit tricky to find tenants, especially over the winter months. This past winter, I mean, every winter is a bit slow, but this past winter particularly, compared to the previous couple of years, it seems that a lot of rental units are sitting on the market. There's a lot of landlords who are looking to get a certain price, ourselves included probably.
Yep.
Because of interest rates, hey, we have to hit this number. We want to get a good tenant, but we also want to get a good price, and we're not really willing to lower it because we got to pay our mortgage, and the mortgage has gone up if you got a variable rate. So it's kind of like in the rental market, a bit of a standoff between these landlords, and hopefully none of people call them the greedy landlords, but the landlords who have to pay their bills and they want to hit a certain number and they think their unit's worth that. And then the tenants who are going, well, I can't really afford all this. And, I'm not really inclined to move right now. It's the middle of the winter. And you have this little bit of a standoff and the market seems to kind of stagnate. I don't know if you've kind of experienced the same thing.
Yeah.
You're in short term, but also do some long term as well. But
yeah, it's tougher, seems tougher to fill units right now, depending on the type of unit. But I think the only people who are moving are people who have to move.
Right.
Because normally springtime and summer, you see an uptick, right? Real estate sales, but also people, like if you are renting, then, and we've certainly noticed on the short-term side, it's busy. It's going like since May, which is a bit early. But for long-term, it's been challenging to fill certain units because most people, I mean, it's the economy too, right? Most people, I think, are not
that pesky economy, man.
I know it keeps coming back.
You want to talk about that too, or?
We always have to talk about the economy. No, but I mean, people aren't as likely to spend money, or maybe a little more pessimistics, right?
Right.
If they got a place, they're not going to move out to a more expensive place. They might move. I've had a tenant move to a cheaper place.
Yeah, we've had a few of those.
Yeah, and that's an interesting thing because anybody who's bought in the last 3 years, probably.
Yeah.
Let's say, with the exclusion of the last 6 months to a year, has paid more for housing, right? Houses just cost more. Pricing has come down. We've been talking about different units that you've bought or different houses. And especially in the one neighborhood, right, where we sold a home for significantly more. Like it was definitely off the peak, but significantly more than these houses are going for now. Yeah. And there's a bit of a dichotomy there, right? You got people who bought 2 years ago who got to pay their mortgage, and so they need a certain amount of money. You got newer units coming on the market where people don't have the same pressures and they can offer them for less. Yeah.
Funny, just a little story there. So we just did a showing this past week, and the tenants that came to come see the place, it's a basement unit. I think it's priced around $2,000. Nice, about 4-year-old reno. And it's kind of a middle-aged couple come. They had a place in Burlington that they had bought 2 years ago, or right at the peak.
Right.
And they told us the story. They basically look like, why are you looking to move? Well, we bought a stacked townhouse, condo, right? So it's the upper floors in a condo in Burlington, a nice pocket, but they bought for like 900 and something thousand.
Woo.
Right? And their mortgage and their living expenses, the condo fees, all of this stuff is just, it's astronomical right now, right? They had a variable rate. So they've been kind of holding out. And it's a bit of a pride thing, right? It's like, I bought this house, we're making it work. And it's 2 years into it and the rates haven't really moved down and your condo fees are slowly inching up. and then your other expenses as well.
Yeah.
Now they're looking, okay, we got to sell this thing and we got to rent for a bit to kind of make up the difference of the last 2 years we've been paying extra. Now we got to try and pay half as much. So they're kind of getting their finances back on track, right? And these are people who have good jobs, like they both work and they both they're able to qualify for an expensive house.
Place. And they're probably not going to get that back either.
No, so I think they've already sold it, and I didn't ask exactly what the price was, but I can only imagine it wasn't what they paid, or if it was, they had all their costs to do the 2 transactions, the purchase and the sale, and they're probably behind, right?
Yeah.
So now they're looking at renting for, at least next couple years and kind of get back on their feet. And I think it's a wise decision. It takes some humility to do that.
Yeah.
But I think they're not alone, right? A lot of people who bought in that time who also did not get a fixed mortgage are hitting this wall where, you gotta, you have to look at your monthly budget and have the humility to say, look, I can't afford this.
Yeah.
Let's make a move.
Yeah.
And they need a place to live, right? So they're looking at rentals now.
Yeah, interesting. So you have people who have to move.
Yeah.
It's kind of the people in the market right now.
Yeah.
And you can have still good tenants, but less choice anyways.
In my opinion, like those people would make great tenants, right? They're homeowners, they have the income, they could qualify for the loan. They're not going to have issues with their credit, but they're they just need to spend less money for housing in the grand scheme of things, right?
Yeah, interesting. I heard they were actually doing condos on the International Space Station.
Are they?
Yeah, I looked into it, but I mean, the prices were astronomical. But can you add a drum fill in there later, Gideon?
Espresso muffin?
Espresso muffin. Okay, so what is the point about what you're going on about here, Brent, about the market and pricing?
Well, you need to get your units to stand out. So if you have a rental unit or you're looking to acquire an investment property and you're going to be renting things out, what are you looking for in a unit or in a property that will attract the right tenant and get filled in this kind of market?
Yeah, especially if you got a 2-bedroom basement apartment, we're filling a couple. There's only so much room with the price. I mean, you can always drop it if you're desperate, but there's a ceiling and it's coming down in our area.
Or a floor?
No, the ceiling. The ceiling in the basement is coming down.
Okay.
There's only so high you can go, right? So, all things being equal, if the top price is $1,950 or $2,000 or whatever for that specific type of unit, well, the difference is going to be the amenities.
Yeah.
And they can't all be like ridiculously high-end finishes, but there are some things, if you're building one or if you're renovating, that I think make really good sense to put in while you're doing it, right? That aren't going to cost you a lot more, but the difference might be your place gets rented versus it doesn't.
Yeah.
Which is...
And vacancy is a big deal.
Yeah.
When you got 12 months in a year and every month you got to pay your mortgage, 1 or 2 months vacancy is a big deal.
Yeah.
Gideon keeps telling me that too, because we're filling units and it's like, another month goes by and we don't fill it. That's, you got to divide the rent by 12 and then say you got to increase the rent by that much. Well, it doesn't work. So...
No.
But do we just want to list all of the features and then try and narrow it down to the top 10?
Well, yeah, we can go through a bunch, I guess, and then see what we think are most important. I mean, so I would start with, this isn't an amenity necessarily, but one thing I've noticed about your units is
starting off with a tangent here, Mark.
It's not a tangent. Okay. Not everything's a tangent. A lot of things are tangents. Not everything. No, but design, right? That's one thing I've noticed in your units anyways. And other units that are nice as well. You can wouldn't have noticed this before, but there's a lot of design that actually goes into it. So you can't just take a space like a box and put up new drywall and put in counters and you see. I don't know. We were talking about this earlier. Put some lipstick on it and try to. If there's a gap, you caulk it and whatever.
Yeah, and you clearly can tell they just spray painted the whole thing and then put the flooring down and all the registers are covered with paint.
Yeah.
And that's kind of gross.
So yeah, even if you're just doing a cosmetic reno, there's still design that should go into it. And if you don't, it could be a big difference, right? And especially when you're doing either a full reno or a new build.
Yeah,
you've got to spend some money on design.
Just a quick comment on the design. So the product that I think a lot of listeners will be into is single family home converting to multiple units, right?
Yeah.
And that product is attractive to a specific tenant profile over, like, let's say a townhouse or a condo or an apartment building, right? Because if you want a cheap rental, like find an apartment unit, find a dingy cheap apartment, like that probably be your starting point for like a cheap, if you're trying to be on a budget. But what are you not getting with an apartment, right? Like the neighborhood has a certain vibe. You've got neighbors all over you and on top of you. You have one central laundry thing that you have to share with everybody. You have one central garbage storage area, and it works well. Like don't get me wrong, it's a place for that. And, I've lived in that kind of complex before as well. And it suits
it's a very complex situation.
It is. Yeah. There's a lot of complexity about it. But if a tenant is looking for something a little bit different, where it's like ground oriented housing, right? Like I have access from grade, I have access to the yard, there's privacy, it's in a residential neighborhood where there's other families and they all have kind of, maybe there's more homeowners in that area and there's a lot of pride of ownership. So there's, it's a mature neighborhood, there's trees. It's not just like a big asphalt parking lot with a big concrete building right across from a plaza. Yeah. Right. You have maybe you're close to trails in these other neighborhoods, right? So that the type of housing that most investors are looking at creating is in those residential neighborhoods and attracting those kind of tenants who are mindful of, I want an outdoor lifestyle, or if I want to be able to run up and down the trails around here.
Now, are you just saying that because you have a bias towards that type of housing? Because I think that's most of the stuff you develop.
I think we do, and we've chosen that because of, particular reasons. But I'm just saying, most investors, that's accessible. Like you're not going to be buying an apartment building if you're just starting out as an investor.
But you talked about like condos or townhouses. You're not so much interested in them either, right?
No, and the reason that is because when you buy a condo or you buy a townhouse as an investor, and this is where a lot of people are getting burned right now, is in the condo market, where you're buying pre-construction and the home, like the value when you bought it is a lot higher than now when you have to close on it and you're just not able to do it. And if you look at the cash flow numbers on some of these condos, right, like they don't cash flow, even if you factor in the principal repayment and whatever else, right? Like it's still,
you have condo fees as well, which don't do anything.
Yeah, and there's a rent ceiling there, and you just and once you own that condo or that townhouse, it's difficult, and we've talked about this before, it's difficult to intensify it further, right? Like there's no way you can add a basement apartment in your condo, right? Like the condo board's not gonna pass that. Same thing with a townhouse. Like some townhouses might work, but there's limitations there that a single family home or like a semi or something like that, a detached structure won't have the same limitations. So that's why I think we gravitate towards that, and we see opportunity, because when you buy something out in the kind of residential areas where there's low rise, the city's looking to intensify that housing and add units, and they're kind of allowing multiple unit conversions like we've talked about in the past. So that's where the potential is, right? So that's kind of why we talk about these sorts of things, because investors, that's really where you're going to make returns right now, is not on buying a townhouse or a condo.
Well, but I think it's important to note, because I mean, we both talk to a lot of people. I think I do. I don't know what you do all day.
I try to listen to people, Mark.
Yeah, okay. I know. I just talk over them.
You just talk.
Yep. Talk. No, but talk to people in a lot of different situations, right? Yeah. Some of them we can help, some we can't. But they're buying all kinds of different styles of housing. Yeah. And yet, like condos, I just never really, unless for a very specific application.
Well, it used to make sense, right? When you buy pre-construction, you don't have to put much money down, right? It's a small amount.
You do eventually, though.
Yeah, but it's a small amount when you put it in. So you basically timestamp your purchase price by putting in very low amount of money,
Yeah.
Right. And then 3 years later, you got to come up with a down payment, but presumably the condo has gone up 300 grand and you can get financing that basically covers the down payment. So you don't have to put any more money in, or like very little. Right.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the investment play that's worked for a lot of people. And it's clearly just purely speculation.
Yeah.
Right. They're hoping that the price goes up. And if it doesn't, well, they're going to, like, let's say it appraises.
You have no control over that.
No.
Whereas with
these,
single family, you have,
yeah.
I mean, there's to a certain extent, you can't control the prices, like we've seen through COVID, but you can via intensification or improvements or whatever, which you can't do on the other ones. So I just thought it was important to point that out because, if there's people out there listening who are thinking of, oh, I got to get into real estate and like, oh, my cousin told me there's a great deal in this condo. Like, really don't just be locked into, well, no, because often people will be like, oh yeah, there's a deal or an in or something on this particular thing, so I just bought that.
Yeah.
It's like, no, consider the whole
it was
market.
Only 20 grand. Yeah.
Right? Consider all your options, not just that deal that somebody pointed out, because maybe there's a better deal somewhere else or better options. So anyways, we haven't even gotten to the amenities yet. Okay, you went on such a tangent, Brent.
Oh.
But, okay, so I was talking about design. And so obviously in a single family unit, you have control over that design, right? Condo, you don't. But so what are some of the things that you're looking for when you, I guess even before you buy a place or when you're considering it, like what are you looking at? Like orientation of the windows for like east, west, north, south? I don't know. Does that come into your...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We won't buy on the north side of the street. No, I'm just kidding.
We have to rotate this house 35 degrees.
You jack it up, spin the foundation, put it down again, and it's all good. No, I don't like... from a design perspective, it's always good to have your limitations set out, right? And that's kind of the first thing we do when we look at the design of something is like, what is restricting this? Like, and that is the financial aspect of it, right? Is, how expensive will it be to change this feature of the house?
Right.
It will be not very expensive. Okay, well then that's a checkbox on the pro side for this property, right? But the con side is, well, what if we don't have access to add an entrance into this unit? Well, now we have to add one. Well, what will that cost? Like if it's, on grade and it's just cut a hole in the wall, like, well, there's costs there. But if you have to add a foundation and do a walkout and insulate it and engineer it and connect drains and stuff, like now you're talking bigger money. So that is worth it if you can get it for the right price. Like, right. So like every single feature about what you're creating is possible to do when you're talking about construction. It's just, is it worth it to do? Yeah. And what we're trying to do, I guess, in this episode is zoom out to the end result where the tenant is looking at this and going, ooh, that has a walkout basement. But like, yeah, you didn't know that cost 30 grand and it took an extra couple months to try and figure out how to do this. And then, now it's great. But, we had to get the house for a bit cheaper to put that in, right? Yeah. I don't know if that answers your question. I feel like I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore.
Well, okay, I mean, that's the initial stages of design, right? You're looking at the big stuff, but then, I mean, with design, you drill down to the finishes at some point as well, right? Yeah. So there's a whole lot of things. So I think natural light was one of the things we had written down, right? I think that's pretty important to have as much natural light as possible, especially in a basement unit, right? Yeah. Upper units, you tend to have more windows anyways, probably.
Hopefully.
No, but especially like in a basement unit, you want those big windows, big window wells if you need them, right?
Yeah, and this is the attitude of like, what can we get away with versus what can we do, right? Yeah, what can you get away with? You can get away with on code, like bare minimum window sizes. They have like the building code specifies, okay, this type of room, let's say a kitchen doesn't need windows in a basement, but a living room would need X number of square feet if your room size is this big, right? So if you actually draw out like a floor plan in your project that you're working on and you're like, do the minimum, like, yeah, you can get away with pretty little, like relatively speaking, right? It's still legal and it works, but at the end of the day, if you're competing against other rental units on the market, is that what you want? Like, do you want this complies with code good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Put that right in the ad.
Yeah.
Apartment complies with code.
Barely. Yeah, in brackets, right? That doesn't make you stand out at all.
No, I mean,
because you have to comply with code.
Yeah, code is life safety.
Yeah, you're just going to stand
enjoyment
out.
Of the unit.
No, you're just going to stand out from all the ones that don't comply with code.
Which, I mean, to be fair,
there's a bunch. Yeah.
Lots of those too.
So windows is a big one. I don't know how else you get natural light in a basement, Mark, but there is solar tubes, something like that.
But
where
you got to go through the upper unit too.
So if people don't know what that is, it's probably not worth it to do. I don't know.
Probably not.
You can get natural light through from the roof all the way down through a light tunnel. And,
best on a main floor or second floor. Under cabinet lighting, is that an important thing? That seems a little bit of a niche.
To me, it's important.
Yeah?
A niche thing? Yeah, we put in the niches too.
Yeah, I see how I set that one up for you. Okay, no, really.
You're starting on a pretty
lighting.
granular level, but yeah, under cabinet lighting is important. I would say that's a feature that doesn't cost a ton.
Yeah.
But it adds a nice effect, right? And so the trick I have with some of these features and
trick. I'm gonna make a note here.
Okay, is that generally speaking, your first point of contact with a tenant is just your pictures in your ad.
Yeah.
So most of these things, like the big ones, you got a laundry. Okay, is the laundry in the picture? Click, click, click. There it is. Oh yeah, nice, right? You like that ticks that box. But under cabinet lighting, it's not like you're clicking through the pictures like, ooh, that is under like. And some of the features you can design in, but the tenants don't really notice them until even after the showing, and they're living there for 2 months, and they're like, "Whoa, check this out! Like it actually does this, right?" Like,
right.
And that adds a layer of kind of appreciation after the fact. But as a landlord, you're not getting a monetary value for that because it's not like in the ad the guy's comparing your unit that has all these things to the guy next to the ad, like on his Facebook ad, and he doesn't have these things, and he's going, "Well,
you don't think so?"
Well.
Let's say they're both priced the same.
Yeah, exactly. Like they're just going to go, "Hey, is it available?" And then they're going to show up and they're going to go, "Oh, that was a nice feel to that unit. I like that." Yeah. Like I go to house, I forget right away what it was like, right? You know what I mean? Like the flooring, you come back later and you're like, "Oh man, it's got this flooring." Like, "Oh man," right? You're just trying to take it all in 10 minutes and try and tell the landlord your story as a tenant.
Yeah.
Right. It's a bit overwhelming. So you're not going to remember what the stove, like whether it has this setting or that setting, like you don't have a clue. Right. But once you're there and you're like, "Ooh, this is actually a fancier stove than the other guy," like, you know, so you can add those things as a landlord, but at the end of the day, you're not going to get the payment for it. You might get the appreciation for it where the tenant actually values and takes care of your stuff and like, you know, likes you as a landlord.
Yeah.
And that has value, but not monetary value. So.
Okay. All right. Okay. Appliances is another one I had. So should you have appliances, Brent?
We were talking about this. Wasn't it in Quebec they don't supply them or something?
Yeah, I think so.
Like
so
you got a BYOA, bring your own appliances.
Crazy.
Yeah, I want to be an appliance moving company in a jurisdiction that has no appliance. No, I actually don't. That's a lot of work to move appliances.
Yeah, they're heavy. But no, I mean, I think we take for granted some like fridge. Yes. Stove / oven. Yes. I mean, you still see people trying to get away with like, yeah, it's got a hot plate. Come on, man. But
it's dishwasher, on top of the microwave.
Dishwasher, right?
Yeah.
I think if you're building a unit, you should have a dishwasher in there.
Yeah. Well, unless it doesn't fit on your hydraulic load calculation form, and I don't want you just don't put it on there. Don't tell anybody. So that.
Oh, I mean, it could be plumbed in, but not hooked up.
Yeah, exactly. So right. You want to have one for the sake of the tenants, but I think that's a big. You just gotta have one. But appliances in general, like if you buy a house and it's older, it comes with appliances. You might be tempted to use those, right?
You know what? We've replaced washers and dryers so much that I would be very tempted to like. Just fine, put a new stove, but if you got a big 1,000-pound
we could break this down because listeners
washing machine. Bring it down.
No, let's break this down because listeners want to know. Like, I actually think this is valuable.
Oh, okay.
Like stoves,
this is just me being cheap.
Washers and dryers are the worst. The modern ones,
yes,
they're so sensitive.
Yeah,
Like you hurt their feelings just by pushing their buttons, you know?
No, but they don't last, is what I find. I don't know.
Exactly. That's what I mean. You turn the knob, it's like I turned it too far and the thing fell off. And then, okay, well, that's a $200 electrical thing. And then, you know, it's too sensitive. You put like 6 pairs of jeans in there and the thing like rattles and then the whole thing shuts off. And
yeah, so stuff without electronics. Yeah. Like the old, like, click, 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 bang.
Yeah.
Type of washers and dryers.
Hey, I'm looking for a click, 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 bang version. Yeah. No, it's got to be 35 years old or older.
We've done it. We've talked to our appliance guys, right? Yeah. Where we're like, yeah, we got to, replace another washing machine. He's like, look, I got this one here, like weighs 1,000 pounds, but we'll put it in and it's going to last you. And if, the only things that are going to go wrong are like this, this, and this. Yeah. It's like a belt and a whatever, right? Yeah. And we can fix those easily versus the new ones. Yeah. The main board goes $1,000. Yeah. So,
and the thing to purchase it is like $1,200. Like, might as well get a new one. Yeah. We've done that before. Like we had a transmission go and the cost to get a new unit was $200 more than the whole thing. And it was like an $1,800 stackable unit or whatever. And well, I guess we're replacing it. And that's 2 years old. Like, come on.
Yeah. Which, if you're doing long-term rentals, that's not, like that is a tough one. Ooh, there's the video there. Well, I do like the one-piece units, the stackable one-piece. I don't know what you think about those.
They suck to move around, but they're...
Yeah.
If you get the old ones, they're good. The new ones, we have hit and miss, but they're probably our worst ones. But in terms of tenants actually looking for amenities, like you got to have a laundry. So if that's where the only way it fits, then yes. But
no, I'm not talking about the 2-piece stackable. I'm talking about it's one piece.
That's what, we have those ones. I don't know. But we've actually pivoted to 2-piece now.
Oh, yeah? Oh, just side by side.
Or on top of each other, but the stackable ones. I don't know. We're trying different things to see what's going to work good. But
yeah, okay. No, it's a little side rant anyways about appliances. But okay, so laundry. I mean, you presumably have laundry in all your units, right? Yeah. Because, not everybody does. Yeah, but I think you need to.
It's not a legal requirement.
No.
And some people say, oh, they can go down the street and do their laundry. It's like, they can.
Would you like to?
Yeah, no.
No. Like, I see people doing it. We have an apartment building by our place.
Just these guys walking down the street with big laundry.
Yeah, you got just what a pain.
Stinks. Smells up the whole neighborhood.
No, but I mean, if you think about it, right? You're not doing laundry every day, which in our house we pretty well do. And when I say we, I mean my wife.
Yeah, well, you're running Airbnbs. Are you still bringing home sheets and stuff?
No, the odd time, but not usually. But no, just with kids and stuff. But like if you don't have laundry, well, then you've got to let it sit for a week or at least half a week, and then make the trip out. Like, what a pain.
So anyways, what's the next one on your list? We got to blaze through all 30 of these things.
Okay, were there any other appliances? How about microwaves?
So we always supplied them except for the last unit we did, the ADU. I don't think we put one in because we were intentional about that too. We're like, it's gonna be a nice kitchen. We're not gonna put a microwave in, and we don't believe in nuking your food.
No nukes.
So we'll see how it goes. But so far,
we just filled one. Yeah, and she was like, "Oh, can I get a microwave?" That was like part of her bargaining. She's like, "Oh, really? Like it's brand new. Again, no microwave by design." Yeah. And she wanted one. It's like, why'd you ruin your whole place? But we put a microwave in
countertop for her. Microwave, yeah.
Okay. Storage.
Yeah, there's indoor and outdoor storage.
Yeah, we're just indoor right now.
Indoor, okay.
Storage. I got storage / walk-in closet.
Yeah, and this is a funny thing too, because on main floor units or on the upper units in some of these conversion projects, like usually there's no furnace room, right? And you're taking over the stairwell space, maybe put a laundry or whatever you're doing. There's actually not a ton of closet space in a main floor. Like they have a little tiny closet, like 2x3 foot closet in every room kind of thing, or and if you're not really altering the floor plan a ton, you're not adding storage. Like it's not like, hey, I want to take up a huge section of the dining room, just put a big pantry wall in. Yeah. Right? So it is a consideration when you're designing, because tenants are going to come in, and if if they're used to, like, 10 years ago, I could live in this house, but I have the whole basement as storage. Right. I could put my kid stuff, my long-term storage, my hockey equipment, whatever in the basement, then we're good, right? And the main floor is just what you need. It's like a box of Cheerios. I don't know, you need a box of, but like, you got a place to put all your steak, let's say, right?
Yeah, and, that's important.
Yeah, and then, if you're actually giving the tenant half the space now and you're just giving them the main floor, well, there is no storage left. So you got to come up with something. And if they're shopping around, like we've had tenants come to a basement unit that has 2 bedrooms and they're like, this is actually way more livable and nice because there's a whole area for storage.
Right.
Than the main floor, which has 3 bedrooms, but no storage space at all. Right.
Yeah.
And then basically the 3rd bedroom is the storage space. Yeah. And some tenants aren't, like, we've had experiences where they're not savvy enough, I guess, to walk into the unit and realize that there is no storage. And then you come back there once they moved in 2 years later, and it's like
junk everywhere.
Yeah, they kind of use things in a different way. They're putting up, like, dressers or whatever on the walls. Not to say dressers a bad idea, but like just in random places that you wouldn't expect in the common areas. Like there's big thing, right, for storage. Yeah. And you're like, well, I wouldn't intended to use that space like that. And it seems kind of strange, but it just goes to show, like, that actually is a feature that people need, right? Yeah. 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 If your rent's high enough, people don't have much stuff because they can't afford it.
Maybe that's the key. Just charge more in rent.
Oh, man.
But yeah, again, another thing, I'm just like praising you all over the place here, but another thing I've noticed in your units is like a lot of storage.
Yeah.
Like, again, but also in spots that you may not have thought about it during the initial design, or that I wouldn't have. Yeah. It's like, oh yeah, that whole wall is just like closets, pull-out drawers, all that stuff.
Not cheap. Yeah, like under stairwells too. Like you can have a stairwell coming down, and it's maybe got a water meter in there and a sump pump or something like that, right? And then it has a door.
Right.
Well, you can't use that.
That's where Harry Potter lives.
Is he?
Yeah.
See, I don't know anything about Harry Potter.
Yeah, so well, we'll do an episode. We'll do a book review.
Okay.
He lived under a stairwell.
Okay. Well, like, yeah, you can easily transform that with some drawers or something to access that space without having to crawl under there over top of a whole bunch of stuff, right? It's one thing if it's your basement and you just need some long-term storage and just shove it under the stairs for now. But if that's your only closet space in your unit for all of your stuff, you want to be having it readily accessible. And so
what about the quality of your cabinets, and like whether it's storage units or kitchen cabinets?
This is like turning into an interview, Mark. We're supposed to be talking about this. This is your idea.
I don't know anything about this, Brent. It is an interview.
Well, quality of cabinet, like the millwork itself.
Yeah,
like hand finished walnut. No.
No, but I'm talking like, excuse me, I can go buy IKEA cabinets or whatever and throw them up, and they're new and they look, I've done that. They look reasonable, I think. Is there value in having like an actual cabinet guy come in and do this stuff? I mean, maybe if you're doing a whole design, you probably are anyways, right?
Yeah, it's tricky. I think we look at it kind of from the streamlined view of like how easy it is to design and install this, how easy it is to replace a piece if it gets broken or missing, right? Like if I have to go to IKEA and I can get something for, let's say, that 2/3 of the cost of a custom guy, and I have to sit on their web portal to design it and then figure it out, and then like go there and stand in line to build it, and then I gotta put all these little pieces together, and like I can save costs that way. And if this is your unit and you want to do that, like that works really well. Like we did tons of those, right?
Yeah.
But if you have a custom option, like, to some degree it streamlines it. It's like, hey, we got this space. This is what we want to put in. Let's put it in nice, finish it like really clean. The fillers are custom fit. It looks nice. It's not going to, look like you just literally put a bead of caulking around and whatever. And then, if something breaks, it's just, cut another piece of that plywood, chuck it in, right? So that, we look at it from the design perspective of the tenant using it, but also like as a landlord, you own this thing. You want to make sure you can maintain it, and it's going to be easy for you, right?
Yeah, because typically I'll look at the space and then see what I can order that fits.
Yeah, and if it doesn't fit, you're like, well, I guess we're not putting something in.
Well, or it's like, okay, I guess I'm doing a filler strip on the side here to like, I get 3 inches left over.
So this is nice. That's where I put my hockey stick and my broom.
You got to be innovative, right?
Yeah. And this is where we put all the spider webs, right in here.
What about smart tech? So like, your thermostat.
So like Gideon.
What was his name? Espresso Muffin? No, but like, are you putting in like the Nest thermostats and stuff like that?
I don't know. Are you?
We are, yes.
Yeah, we are. Yeah.
For short term, we want to be able to control everything, as much as possible,
so you're
without
like the
being
government.
intrusive.
You're like the government, right?
But we aspire to be the government.
As controlling as possible without being too intrusive. Right? Sitting there in the background, adjusting the temperature. Is that what you do on a Friday night? Hey, watch this. Watch this.
Yep, sometimes.
He's going to call me in 5 minutes.
Yeah, and then ding, message pops up.
No, we don't do that. We don't interfere, but you could monitor. But yeah, we look at smart tech like smart thermostats is a big one when you have units that are sharing the same HVAC systems, right? Or the same heating, cooling, if not like a boiler or something like that. But what else was I going to say? Like other smart tech or different types of things, like maybe water meter. So if you can separate utilities, sometimes like with waters, typically you can't really do a separate meter. A lot of cities want to have 1 meter per municipal address. Well, then it's nice to have like a smart second meter that can, give you
so you as the landlord know.
Yeah.
And you divide up the
so there's options
cost.
that way. It's a little bit more expensive to install, but then you can get readings easily and you can track expenses and bill them separately. And so yeah, depending on how much you want to spend when you start separating units inside an existing house. Well, I think
we just had somebody look at that, an owner. I think it was going to be $2 or $3 grand.
Yeah.
I think most of the separation was already done.
Yeah.
But that was just to get the monitoring and the...
Yeah. So some of these things are more expensive for sure to install. Like another one maybe is door locks, right? So you have like a key lock, and then if the tenant moves out, you switch the key, and it's a physical thing, and they could lose it or whatever, and you have a lock box on site. Well, you could just upgrade and pay more for a door handle set on your exterior doors for each unit, and it has a code, right?
Yeah.
And you got to change the batteries or look at that once in a while and have a backup on site maybe, but you have now, you can just reprogram it when a tenant moves out, or you can give access codes. You probably do that a lot with your short-term rentals, right?
Yeah, I just talked to somebody this morning about that actually, and he's like, what do you think for door lock? And honestly, we do keypads.
Yeah.
And they can either be smart or dumb, like as in you can access them remotely.
Right. So like
Wi-Fi for a long-term situation, I wouldn't maybe worry about it. Short-term, yes.
Yeah.
Well, because people also do like the fully automated Wi-Fi locks, which are great until the Wi-Fi goes out.
Right.
You need a backup, right?
Yeah.
So we just prefer a keypad. And whether that's Wi-Fi enabled or not, I mean, that'll drain your batteries a little bit more, but it's reliable.
Yeah.
And then you hide a lockbox somewhere with a key.
So this is not really, I guess, a feature that the tenant would care about.
Some tenants do.
But it's not like
on the long-term side.
Ad, you're showing a picture of the door saying, it doesn't have a key.
Maybe you should.
Yeah, well, maybe we should.
Maybe you should.
It's just going to be no key rental unit.
Keyless entry, right?
Yeah. So, the thermostat thing, though, actually can be a feature that tenants really appreciate, because if you have a conventional thermostat that's just, you got to walk up to this thing in your hallway, push the buttons, whatever.
Yeah.
Well, the main floor unit or the upper unit or whatever, it depends on how many units you have. The one guy's got access to the thermostat and the other guy doesn't.
Yeah.
So by having a smart thermostat now, you can control it from any unit in the building. At least that's a step in the right
So
direction.
they could be fighting.
Oh yeah, they fight all the
up,
time.
down, up, down.
No, actually, like that's where you got to really work together as landlord and then the tenants in your property, and just here's the system you access. Like this is kind of basically to be adjusted when that person goes away on vacation, and now you're in the unit and they're not adjusting it upstairs, then you can adjust in the basement. So
yeah, no, that makes sense, because we have tenants that do fight over the thermostat. Blinds.
Oh, this seems like such not a feature, but it is. They're expensive, man. Like window coverings.
Yeah.
People have messaged us, tenants, like who are applicants, like, are there window coverings? Even after we sign the lease, like, are the window coverings included, right? because they're probably looking into the price of installing them, and they're like $2,000 for window coverings.
Well, if you haven't done it in a while, it's like, yeah, whatever, I'll just get some blinds. And then you price them out, you're like, what? Like, that's the noise you would make.
Yeah. I would go for an espresso muffin right after that. Yeah, no, they used to, in Canada, they changed it recently, a couple of years or a year ago. It was like you could have the corded blinds, but now you can't do those. So a lot of the low cost options for window coverings have kind of gone away because you got to import them illegally. Like, you know, all these infants getting strangled in cords, and now all of a sudden, like, no corded blinds in all of Canada because they're, you know, except for all the houses that currently have them. I don't know. It's like,
yeah, but they're exempt. Yeah.
So now the options are either kind of like these low end, really finicky. And like as a landlord, generally, you know, if you're supplying them, like you want them to last, but you also want it to be easy to clean between, like there's a lot of things to consider, and it seems kind of dumb, but it is a bigger cost. If tenants have to take it on themselves, you could say, look, I have window coverings. That's good.
Yeah. And I mean, tenants who have replaced blinds recently would know.
Yeah.
Because like you said, some people will ask. Yeah. And it's kind of an important thing. So blinds.
All right.
That's in our top 10, I think. Blinds, eh?
It's like the bottom.
Yeah, maybe it's number 9 or 10, but okay. What about central vac? You doing any central vac?
No, but we maybe should. I don't know. Like, depends how much. I don't know. We've had tenants ask for this. That's why. We had one recently who just said, by the way, is there central vac in this unit? I was like, really? You guys want central vac? But I don't know. Do you know anything about that? Like, would you put that in? I probably wouldn't put it in unless it had it already or something. But
I mean, yeah, I have.
It just sucks, man.
Hey, Brent made a joke, everybody. That was a good one. No, one thing I would really appreciate is having just the baseboard outlets where you can you open it up and sweep everything in, especially with a bunch of kids making a mess, right? And like they're not, if you're doing the new build, they're not that expensive. So I don't know if you need to do like the whole hose pull out thing. Yeah. Because that, like, then there's maintenance and they can break and blah, blah, blah. But just maybe a couple of the baseboard things, I think is not a bad idea.
Yeah. So my sense is that this is not a feature that tenants look for frequently.
No.
Or expect. No. But as a landlord, if you're looking to provide options to clean your house, and hey, tenants, by the way, the landlord cares so much that he put in central vac and gave you a whole system. Well, maybe, you know, that demonstrates from the landlord's perspective that, hey, like, this is a unit you should take care of because we went through the effort to put this in. And maybe that's the way I would look at that. But
I mean, you do have to also empty the canister. And it's another step. So maybe not in our top 10.
No.
But it's a nice to have.
Yeah.
I think. Okay, so some of the finishes, I think we've covered most of the major. Well, flooring. What about flooring? What kind of flooring are you putting in?
Yeah, we're putting in glue down vinyl.
Glue down?
Yeah, glue down. So we used to do click. We've gone through like 5 or 6 different types and options and whatever. And for some of our units, we kind of really go fancy with the floor, especially if they're compact and every square inch is like used. Then that flooring, we're justified spending more, and we put in some nice like commercial grade like loose layer glue down, like a nice product. But generally speaking, if it's a bigger area and like it just has to be nice, glue down is more cost, I think, to install, because you got to prep the site and you got to put down, you make sure it's perfectly flat and level, and it's like everything's screwed or stapled down or concrete smooth. And some of those things you can kind of get away with if it's not, if you put click.
There's a little bit of play with the click.
But then we found that over time, like, it starts to crack and you end up having to replace big sections, and you're pulling out the kitchen or the end panels.
Well, it's hard to replace one piece.
Yeah. And to have a good result, like you can replace it, and then 6 months later it's like, well, this piece is broken again. So we never really fixed it properly. So because you can't, because you don't want to take it all out, and your dog is in the way, and right. So it works best when there's tenant turnover and the tenants move out. You come in, you say, okay, well, this flooring is garbage. We're gonna have to replace it, and it was $1.50 or $2 a foot before. Well, now let's put in something good that's going to last, because and click, like you said, you can replace one piece at a time, right? So you're it's worth the extra cost to install it, and then if something breaks, you're just taking
glue down.
Oh,
right?
sorry, the glue down. Yeah.
Yeah, not the click.
Not the click.
Are you doing laminate at all anywhere ever?
Oh, we got it in 1 unit or 2 units, and yeah, I don't mind laminate, to be honest. Like, I think it works, but I think I prefer the vinyl, and it's just easier to clean. It's waterproof. I don't know.
Yeah, the waterproof's a big thing.
Yeah,
I think
because we have had floods as well, and we've had to replace laminate. And other units that have flooded that have vinyl, like if the glue comes loose, then you can kind of just take that section and re-glue it or whatever. But the flooring's not
compromised.
Not garbage. Yeah. So
yeah, okay, that's important.
But the tenants expect there to be flooring, so that's not really an amenity.
Yeah, you should have flooring.
That's not an amenity.
Well, no, but the quality of the flooring, right?
Okay.
You just have linoleum.
Well, one other thing about the flooring is maybe you could put in floor heating.
Right.
And so I've seen units that, like, because that's when you look at your features list, you're going to post an ad. It's like, well, it has in-floor heating. That stands out because 99% of the units don't have in-floor heating.
Yeah.
Like, that's a bit of a cost to put that in. And especially if you're going to buy the unit and it already has flooring, you're not going to rip it up to put in-floor heating.
Yeah.
But if you're doing it anyways, well, the cost maybe to put that in. We haven't done it.
Are you talking about through the whole unit or just the bathroom?
No, I would just put it in the bathroom or the ensuite or something like that. But you can still say, right? You got 6 square feet of in-floor heating in your bathroom. Well, you got in-floor heating.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would depend on the unit, right? If it's a higher end unit, probably well worth it because you want to stand out.
Yeah.
So you stand
in Toronto, in Toronto, I've seen a lot more common, right?
Yeah.
Like higher end. Well, yeah, every square foot counts. So
yeah. Okay. Countertops. What are you doing in countertops?
We're doing quartz. Yeah.
Mainly quartz?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen like laminate, and if you go further out from the city into rural areas, or if you go into like smaller cities or whatever, then you have, we're not really going to be putting in high end finishes. So then it makes more sense to just do laminate, but
or butcher block.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not a bad
IKEA
option.
Has some good stuff, but I don't know. It is a feature that a lot of people put on their listing, like, hey, by the way, this says quartz countertops. It's like, nice.
Well, it's almost like keeping up with the Joneses.
Yeah.
You got to do it, right?
You got to do it.
Which is, I mean, do you have quartz in your house?
Yeah, I think so now because we live in a rental unit.
Oh. Okay, I don't have quartz in my house. I'm just saying.
Well, it's funny because actually when we did our basement unit in our house, for some reason, this is like years ago and I didn't know what I was doing, but we had plumbing running behind. So we ended up having a custom countertop, and we can't afford quartz. Let's do laminate. And the laminate ended up being like $200 cheaper than quartz.
Oh, really?
Because it was custom laminate. Like it had to be made to be an extra few inches deep or whatever.
Yeah. And
it was a corner piece. So it wasn't even a big thing, but it was like, a couple $100 more. I could have got quartz, and like, oh, come on. Now there's a backsplash, and it doesn't, like, you're not going to switch it out, right? But so.
Okay. And my favorite one to rant on is plumbing finishes.
All right.
So there's a few things. Well, like a rainfall shower head.
People are still listening, man. They're going to.
Yeah, if you're still listening, congratulations. No, but I think like a rainfall shower head is just a no-brainer if you're doing a reno, right? Like as long as you have access, and if you're not ripping open the ceiling and stuff, fine. But even that, if you have access to the attic, for example, then it's just a little bit of plumbing through the attic and back down, and make sure you kind of cover it up so it doesn't freeze.
Yeah.
But like it's such a big difference, right? Just in terms of experience and that sort of that luxury feeling, right? Of as opposed to having something that's almost at eye level spraying you in the eye.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because if you look at some of these condos or rentals that are being built in towers and stuff, they look nice when they're fully staged units, but if you go through the actual plumbing fixtures in their bathrooms, like they're basic kits, like they're super low end, a lot of them, right? It's just a pipe coming out of the wall with a little nozzle on the end, and it's nothing special. And that's because that's just the way they can save cost, right? They got to build the structure, they got to build it to code, but all the finishes they can kind of, put Chinese kitchen in here, put the cheap plumbing fixtures, put a standard basic toilet in, and you're minimizing your cost. But I think as a landlord, if you want your units to stand out and you want to attract great tenants and have them enjoy the space and appreciate it, like you said, plumbing fixtures, you use the shower every day, hopefully. Right?
That's the kind of tenant you're aiming for.
But okay, if you put a rain head in, you can tell
when they come for a viewing.
Yeah. Like, whoa, you're going to appreciate this shower that I just put in here. Do you have one at your house? Yeah. Well, the other thing is, if you just put a rain head in, well, how are you going to clean the bath? Well, you need to have one of those hand shower ones as well, right?
So, I think that's almost a given.
But you're paying more to put all that stuff in, right? You need like a valve that switches. So it's a bit of an upgrade from just the standard.
I mean, a few $100, right?
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, but if you have the mindset of pinching pennies and it's not worth it, well, yeah, well.
Yeah. Okay. So rainfall shower head.
What about the toilet bidet thing?
Oh man, let's go. Okay, I'm
something about pudding and.
So yeah, I'm a big fan of bidets, having switched to it in the last couple of years, and I'm like, where was this all my life? So yeah, in the commercials for them, I've seen where the guy he makes a fist, right? So you've got. I don't know. You won't be able to see this on the video, but if you clench your fist and you look at your forefinger, your index finger, right? It's making a circle, and then they'll put some pudding in there, and then they'll get a Kleenex and wipe the pudding away, and you don't wipe all the pudding away, right? But then they'll get a spray thing and be like, psh, spray it, and it's clean, and it's just yeah, you're right, you're right. So. We had a tenant in a short-term rental. It was a midterm. But this is years ago. Install a bidet. They're like, "Are you okay if we do this?" We're like, "Yeah, go ahead." And I'm like, I'm not talking an actual porcelain bowl.
In a short-term rental where they're there for 3 nights and they're like, "We gotta have a bidet."
It was midterm, so they were there for a couple months.
All right,
or maybe a month. I don't know.
You can't go a couple months with toilet paper. You gotta spray.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Wow.
And so this was the kind that you mount on the toilet itself, right? You take the seat off, you put it on, you put the seat back on, and those 2 screws hold it in place, right? And so you got the little dial beside you when you're sitting down. But we don't need to go into a lot of detail. But
your life has transformed because of this.
I'm one of the top amenities in my house. I would say is the
right, so that's in Mark's top 10
spray bidet. I'm not talking about the little hose you got next and you got to contort to get in there. But if you're putting one in. Just experiment a little bit. Don't turn it on full blast right away, because that's
especially not if you're looking at it.
So I've done that several times now, where I put one in. I'm like, okay, let's just was this to clean the nozzle? One way cleans the nozzle, the other way does the spray. Which is which? You turn it on a little bit, nothing happens. A little bit more, nothing happens. A little bit more, and it's just jet in the face across the bathroom on the wall, right? So
all over your toothbrush.
Yeah, they're powerful. It's clean water.
I'm not putting one in because I have toddlers, and I'm just not going that road right now.
I don't know.
I come back from going out sometime, and
we've had no issues with our kids.
Okay, well,
so I'm just saying it's. I think it's important.
So as a landlord though, with tenants, is that one more thing to fix, or is that actually going to move the needle? I guess maybe some cultures are used to having them and some aren't, and they just kind of expect it. But how would you look at that for?
Yeah, I don't know. For long term, honestly,
it's not a big cost.
Put it in a it's like $100 or $70.
It's just the maintenance of
unless you get a really fancy one.
Yeah.
There's not much to break though, right? It's a hookup to your water line.
Maybe let's put that at 7 or 8 or 9 in the list.
It's near the bottom, Brent.
Okay.
Do you see what I did there?
Yeah. This is a good episode for those jokes, right?
For dad jokes.
TV hookup.
Okay, yeah, TV hookup.
So this is something that if you're opening up the walls and putting backing in and doing any wiring or whatever work, you got to put one in. And maybe you don't. It's hard to take a picture of unless you put the TV in there or whatever. You can virtually stage. You can put it in there. But we always try and incorporate it in for the added cost if you're already doing electrical, if you're putting in backing when you're doing framing and stuff.
Very little added cost.
Yeah. It's literally a plug. And, you could do it in bedrooms too.
Yeah.
and strategically designing it so that like if you're designing a space and there's a living room and you got to have a nice big window and you put the window in, it's like, yeah, well, where's the TV going to go? I don't watch TV. I don't have a TV. I don't really care, but tenants do. Yep. I find, because people do watch TV. I'm like, well, interesting. So you spend a lot of your time watching this thing. Well, you want to sit in front of a big window with your TV in front of the window, or do you want to put it on a wall? Like, where's it going to go, right? So yeah, being conscious of tenant lifestyle, whatever they're going to want. And a big trend is actually minimizing dining space. Like nobody has a dining table these days. So you can save square footage there but put the effort into a living room, because you're going to microwave your Pop-Tarts, then you're going to sit on the couch and you're going to watch the TV with the blinds closed, but they're expensive blinds.
That's right.
So,
you're ordering pizza. No, I have seen this in some listings actually, where it specifically calls that out. It's like, is that really?
Well,
a big
with short-term rentals, I can see it. Like, yeah, you got to supply the package for the TV as well, right? Like the internet and the smart whatever. I don't know. Netflix. It makes you smart, right? That's why it's called a smart TV.
No, it makes you dumber, actually.
So the TV is smarter than you. Okay.
Probably. They're watching you. If you go through the user agreements, they're watching you. So don't agree to anything when you're hooking it up. No, but as someone who has worked in that space for many years and has hung hundreds, maybe not thousands, but at least hundreds of TVs, like that's... I know that's like, I really appreciate that, is having an outlet,
a good TV at a good height. That's the other thing too. We've hung them too high before, too low. Like tenants will call us.
Don't put your outlets 7 feet up.
No.
Right? They should be.
It's not like one of those waiting rooms at the airport where you're like, where's my number?
Yeah. People are starting to get that now, but they always used to be like way up there and like you're craning your neck, right? It should be at eye level.
Yeah.
Wherever. So that means if you're sitting on a couch, the center of the TV should be at your eye level.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit higher, but not much. So it's not as high as you think.
So we brought on a pro to give us that advice.
Hey,
thank you, Mark. Okay.
This show sponsored by MK Contracting.
Showers versus tubs. This is a question mark because they're not. I guess there is a bit of cost difference if you're putting in a tub surround shower, or how you're tiling it, and all this stuff. But you know, if you put in a shower, you can't take a bath in that unit. Just to put in that out there.
Yeah.
Unless you have a bidet. Oh no, that's still a shower.
It's
still a shower.
Yeah, it's still a shower. So I mean, I think that depends on who your ideal tenant is.
Yeah.
Right? You know, if you're marketing to like young professionals, shower all the time, right?
Yeah.
If you got families, well, you probably want a tub.
Yeah.
And then I guess also depends how many bathrooms are there in the house, right?
Do you have a powder room? Do you have another bathroom with it? Yeah, okay. Yeah, just throwing that out there for consideration, but maybe you definitely have to have one, so it's not like an amenity. But if you say has a bathtub and you're trying to attract families, you're going to do better than just has a shower.
Yeah, and that's a big deal.
And you got to bathe your kids in a bucket. Comes with bucket. Bucket included.
Large bucket. No, I mean, that's a bit of a debate at our place, right? Do we get rid of this tub?
Yeah.
But like, we still use the tub for the kids, right?
See, my wife went to the Philippines and they do bucket showers. So it's just a bucket and you whatever, right?
I mean, is there not a shower?
I don't know. Where she was, it wasn't. But
oh, okay. So neither a shower nor a tub.
No, it's just a bucket and a shower at the same time.
Okay. Well, I'm just not going to go there.
Well, at the time we were renovating our basement, and she actually said it was nicer there than in our basement because we didn't have a bathroom.
Okay. Well, I mean, it's a big
drive
plus.
To Tim Hortons to use their bidet. Anyways, what's the next
any
one?
other interior stuff? That I kind of went
feature
through
walls.
Oh yeah, feature walls.
It's low cost. It might not be an item that you list on their description. Like, hey, it comes with a feature wall that you can just look at. Well, no, actually, on the picture, it's going to make it look nicer than everyone else's.
Well, it's going to grab attention, right?
Yeah, it's attention grabbing. If you want your pictures to stand out, sometimes feature walls are an easy, cheap way to just paint it, and it looks nice.
Well, now when you say feature wall, are you talking like a design or just a color?
Well, depends how much you want to stand out. Mm-hmm. So if you just want to paint it, you can stand out a little bit because everyone paints their walls. But if you want to actually like put some millwork on there, or like, you know, do a design or do like cabinetry built in and have you know, artwork or something, right? You can do this in a living room. You can do it in like a bedroom behind the headboard. And sometimes these feature walls, like they actually articulate how you're supposed to use this space. So tenants appreciate it when they see like, oh, this is where my bed will go. And rather than just having a box of a room, and it's like, well, yeah, I guess I could use this anyway, but they start to envision it and gravitate towards it when they're like, I can envision myself in this room and this is what I would do with it. And you can intentionally design that, right? You can put lights on the wall where the nightstands go, for example. You can put cabinetry so you can access it without hitting your bed, and like different things. Like, where's the window? Where's the door? Where do you put your bed? And I don't know.
Well, my favorite trick is to put a big mirror in the room. Because then I can go in front of it and say, I can really see myself in this room.
That's number 2 on the list.
No, the bidet was number 2.
Dimmable lighting. I like that. I don't know.
Okay, yeah.
Dimmable lighting is a feature that's relatively low cost that makes a huge difference in terms of the user experience of the space, especially when you're doing showings and you're doing them in the evening. You can kind of like, oh, and then people walk in, they're like, wow, this is cool.
Well, in terms of cost,
you can also, like, when you're doing the showing, just play with the dim, like just be like, just like not even mentioning it, just being like, so right. Now as we sign this contract, we're going to dim the lights.
Well, there's not a big cost in mainly it's the switches is your cost, right? You got to make sure you have dimmable bulbs.
Yeah, but and if you don't,
you'll find out.
Yeah, they'll drive you nuts.
Yeah.
You're going to want to get a bidet after that.
Yeah, exactly.
What else did we talk about?
Anything else interior, Brent?
No, walk-in closet, ensuite. Those are like, ensuite is nice. It's hard to add if you don't have the square footage, and it's expensive, but that's why nobody has them. So you can really stand out. And we've done units where we've compromised on the number of bedrooms to purposely build an ensuite.
Oh, really?
Right. So we've increased the amount of storage. We've increased the size of the primary bedroom, master bedroom, and we've added an ensuite. So that cost of that, like the millwork for the storage, and the ensuite. But the intention there is, well, yeah, you could rent this to somebody with 3 bedrooms with no storage, and they might be willing to pay more for the bedroom. But yeah, you take away the bedroom, but you got an ensuite. You're going to get a different tenant profile. Yeah. Right. It's somebody who appreciates the ensuite. Well, who is that? Maybe a young couple, right? And they have one other bathroom in there. That's maybe if they have a kid, they can go in that run or whatever, right? So you're getting you're marketing it to a different tenant profile, and they appreciate something different than like a family would, right? So depending on the square footage, sometimes you can get creative, and that really goes a long ways. And we've had units that, smaller 2-bedroom with an ensuite, and they get really good rents because it's kind of like a honeymoon experience, right? It's like, this is a really nice vibe in my, like, it's like you're in a hotel and it's like a really fancy kind of experience, right?
Yeah.
And it's just a bathroom, but it's not just a bathroom, Mark. It's more than a bathroom.
It's an experience.
It's an experience. This is a weird episode, man. Walk-in closet you can add to the list. I think that's tricky to supply, but unless you have the square footage. But that is a thing that, like, I find a lot of people like, ooh, walk-in closet. Yeah. So.
Okay. Anything else interior?
No. Nothing else.
Exterior. What are some of the things that that you're thinking of that you're looking at? Parking,
landscaping, patio, shed, shade, storage, garbage storage. Golf simulator.
So as intensification increases, as you're putting in 2, 3, 4 units on a property, that outdoor space actually has to be designed a little bit. You have to think about it, and it becomes really important, right?
Yeah.
So, like, what kind of things are you doing for outdoor? Like, how do you separate that for tenants? Let's say you got an ADU and a duplex. How are you splitting that up?
Yeah, so we just literally put a fence down the middle, and that's no.
I've seen that.
This takes time in design. Like, I can't just say you do this, right? Because every property is unique, and that's the thing, right? When you're looking for properties, you can strategically choose ones that are like, this could work really well. This has a lot of things going for it over here. If we did this to it, like, I'm just thinking, okay, this has a mature tree on this side and a mature tree on that side. If we were to divide the landscape space, these spaces would each individually be very attractive spaces to be in. And because of the layout of the house, there's a way I can get into each space without going through the other guys. Well, now that makes a lot of sense. And, like, we're not forcing it, is what I'm saying. We're not going to a house and we're like, okay, this is going to be separate amenity space, but it's literally like this guy walks through this, that guy goes over here, and it's just not enjoyable. And
yeah, this is what we did at the last house, so this is what we're doing here.
So it's not copy paste. It's not that cookie cutter kind of mentality. And yeah, you got to spend the money, like outdoor stuff. If you're doing hardscaping or garden beds or that sort of stuff, and you're into spending money, and a lot of investors, I think, are not on that bandwagon to like, it's not worth it for me. Like maybe let's put in a 10 by 10 concrete pad.
Yeah.
And do like flagstone walk or like a patio stone walkway or whatever it is to get to it. But, you know, they're trying to minimize the dollars they're spending. But I find with landscaping, like that's what kind of separates your house from a lot of the other ones. It's expensive, but over time it matures. And if you maintain it well, like your property has more value. It has more attraction as a rental. And, you know, if you sell it in the future, it's definitely gonna be way more attractive.
Yeah.
And it's simple. Like you can probably do a lot of the work. I don't know, say yourself, but yeah, you can plant plants. Like it's not rocket science.
Yeah. It depends what you're doing,
right?
but yeah, hardscapes, you may want to have somebody do.
Yeah.
But all the rest, like it's not hard to throw a couple of hostas in.
Yeah. So, and it kind of all dovetails together, like the parking space, right? If you have adequate parking and you can kind of make it work, well, you can integrate that in with where the walkways are and where the fences are and where your garbage store, like that's another big one, right? If you don't have garbage stores, I went to a unit once and like the guy's like, yeah, this is where they put the garbage. And it was just like a corner in the fence. And I'm like, there's just a big pile of garbage. I'm like, is this why, like, why did they put the garbage here? Just because it's like right outside the window and they huck it? Like, well, maybe you just put like some sort of container they can put it in because there's garbage everywhere blowing around, right? But providing a specific space for the tenants to put it in, it shows you as a landlord, hey, by the way, right? And I've thought of everything. This is how you're going to live your lifestyle in here. You're going to really enjoy it, and it's going to be clean and well maintained. And
well, and then you don't have to live with whatever lousy decision they might make.
Yeah,
you've already made the decision for them, and it's easy. You know,
when you're driving down the street and you see blue boxes on the front porch, that's the house, right?
What about sheds? You putting sheds in?
Yeah. We usually try not to put a shed in until they go, hey, can I have a shed? It's like, oh, man. Yeah. It usually, like, the budget gets pretty tight when you start going on the outdoor space, right?
Yeah.
And like, God, do I really want to spend all this extra stuff? So when you buy a property that has a shed, it's like, okay, that's nice. Because you're generally not paying like a lot more for the property because it has a shed. If it has a detached garage, usually the homeowner selling it is like, well, it should be worth more because it has a garage.
Yeah.
But if it has a shed, it's like, well, you know,
whatever.
What's a shed? But
well, half the time you got to tear the shed down anyways.
Yeah.
So it's worth less actually.
Yeah, exactly. But it makes a difference too if you're as a landlord supplying your property maintenance. Like if you're doing the lawn care and the snow care and whatever else, then you have less reason to have outdoor storage.
Yeah.
But yeah, in some of these units, we're finding more and more tenants are downsizing from big houses. Like this family I mentioned, right, where they sold their condo and they have like 1,500 square feet and they're moving into 800 square feet. And they're used to kind of, you know, having some space outdoor, whatever. And they're having to fit in a smaller space. Well, now like a shed is kind of a must, right? So.
Okay. So I guess the important thing is budget for some outside stuff as well.
Yeah.
Which I often see people kind of forget.
Yeah.
You're just like, yeah, it's outside. We'll deal with that after because it's just a bit of grass. But then when they actually sit down and like, oh, I got to do this and this and this. And if you want to make it nice, I got to actually spend some money. And
here's the trick.
I got none left.
Trick number 2 or 3 or 4.
Wow.
Is if you think about it, the costs of installing this stuff always goes up, right? We talk about inflation all the time.
Yep.
You know, labor's going up, materials are going to go up. So it's kind of one of those things that you buy it, you fix the house, and you're like, yeah, I'll just do the landscaping in 5 years, right? Or I'll fix it up. Well, it's really going to be cheaper now than in 5 years. And the trick in Ontario is that like you can't get tenants out, right? So it's not like you're going to do the you're never going to do the landscaping unless the tenant moves out and they all move out. You're not going to have the
increased cash flow.
It's not going to happen, right? So we try to do stuff up front. It's going to be the cheapest to ever do it, right? Is now or yesterday. And once you do it, it's going to mature nicely if you maintain it, right? So it's going to increase in value. That's the thing. The difference with landscaping is that you can really see it improve. Whereas like you put
Right.
flooring in your house, it degrades, right? But landscaping, if you maintain it regularly, it can actually make the space more valuable, right? Like the trees grow. And yeah, if you don't plant it properly and you don't design it properly, well, maybe it impedes certain things of the house. But yeah, if you do it nice and you pick the right stuff, yeah, over time, like 10, 15 years, it's going to be nicer when you started, right? So yeah, it's cheapest now to put it in. It's never going to get done if you don't do it. And then you're never going to attract, like the tenants aren't going to move out. Yeah, I don't know. You're not going to attract those tenants that want that space, right? So yeah, I don't know, just something to think about. And obviously it costs more and not everyone has the money to do it, but yeah.
But yeah, do it now.
Give Mark a call. Cheapest. Mark's got some money lying around.
Yeah. I was looking in the couch cushions. Hey, one thing I forgot, Brent, which is actually, I think, important, paint.
Okay.
What kind of paint are you putting inside? Are you getting the cheapest paint you can? Are you spending a little more? Are you doing like easily wipeable stuff, easily paintable?
What are we doing? I think what we're doing is spraying everything the same.
Okay.
And that choice is like, we generally have like 2 to 3 year turnovers, and frequent turnovers, like we're always patching stuff. So we just have a jug of that paint. We go in, we patch the wall, we paint it. And
are you doing a flat or like an eggshell?
It's kind of in between. Yeah. Like it's not like a matte finish and
Okay.
But we don't specify that in the rental ad. People are like, oh, I got
No, but this is like when you're
As a
setting it
landlord,
up, it's important, right? I know there's one fella in the short-term space is like, we paint everything matte. I'm like, well, that's crazy. But he's like, no, the reason is people are coming in with their suitcases. They're always banging the walls.
Yeah.
And if you want to, like, it is so easy to just brush a little bit on, and it blends in. Whereas with an eggshell or something,
it's gloss.
There's a difference in the gloss, and you notice it, and then now you have to paint like everything.
Thing,
so I mean, that's a difference between short and I guess with a long-term turnover, if you got to paint, you're gonna paint.
Yeah.
As opposed to just doing touch-ups.
No, it's the cost of doing business a lot of the time is, if you want to put in, like you can not paint in between units or in between tenants, right?
Yeah.
But tenants won't appreciate it. So if you want to have a good relationship, you make it nice, right?
Yeah.
Who are you as a landlord? That's a question that's the paint question. Anyways.
Yeah.
So. Okay.
I think we had enough in there for a top 10. We didn't actually do a countdown or anything, but,
you're going to make the intro hard for me. I'm going to have to our top 10 is this.
They're in there. It's like a bag, you just got it's like a piñata.
Yeah. There's more things that we could probably consider too, but what do you put in your rental unit to stand out and get those tenants? Because if the rental market's slow, we definitely want to have our boxes ticked, to try and attract the best tenant possible.
Yeah. Yeah, because
ask yourself, would you live there? That's what I like to do. So
when you walk in, would it? Well, number one, I mean, this is the same for short-term rentals too.
We're like an hour in. You're on number one.
That was the intro, Brent. Okay, now we're getting to the episode.
Okay.
No, but with short-term, like it's all about your photos, right?
Right.
That's what gets you clicks, and then people will look at your listing a little bit more.
Do you guys do AI photos? Like, draw me a really nice house inside this house.
No, because we want the photos to be
match realistic,
less or equal to the experience,
right?
Not more than, because
but still better than everyone else's.
Yeah, ideally, right. But then the place has to be better, right?
Oh man!
But it's the same idea for the ads, right? Even with the feature wall, if it's just a splash of color, well, that will probably make your ad stand out versus all the other ads, right? So something to think about. First is you need eyeballs, you need impressions.
Yeah.
On like if you're using Facebook, just to get people to look at the ad because there's so many, right? And maybe they're just clicking, is it available? Is it available? Is it available? But to get a little bit of interest, right? And people actually like reading it, looking at it. And then when they show up, that's just another thing to kind of grab their attention. Like, oh yeah, because if they've looked at 20 units, they'll be like, I remember that one with the yellow wall. Yeah. Or the whatever, right? So just little bit of psychology, I guess, to make people just to lodge it in their mind, I guess, right? Yeah. and create some demand for you.
I'm just going to put a picture of Mark on my ad and just attract all the attention. And then
if you want to sell your units immediately,
Mark is selling licensing pictures.
Yeah, there's licensing fees involved. So.
All right,
or
folks.
maybe a beard feature wall.
Yeah, there you go.
It's just a big beard.
Just a silhouette of Mark.
Yeah, but like an actual textured beard.
Yeah.
So you can
feel
dry
it.
your hands. Or okay, we're just evolving now. So hopefully that was a little bit of value. If you're building a unit, if you're designing a unit, I mean, I just recommend you go talk to Brent. But if not, lots of amenities in there to think about. So
awesome.
Thanks for listening, folks, and until next time,
steward your wealth wisely. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Two Stewards Show. If you like my voice better, click subscribe.
And if you like my voice better, click share.
If you like both, give us a 5-star rating.
To interact with the show, feel free to reach out at hello@twostewards.ca.
We'll see you in the next episode. In the meantime, steward your wealth wisely.